Carlos,
what's up, guys?
Got a little winning streak together, a grappling victory as well. I mean, everything you're doing is victorious right now. How does it feel to be, kind of on a nice little run again?
Feels good. Kind of back to feeling normal.
Yeah. Did anything click? I mean, was there anything that you were able to isolate that said, this is what I was doing wrong? This is what was stopping me from getting the results I needed?
Nothing specifically, but just really wanting to be here. I think there was a number of fights where I think I was like 1 foot in, one foot out, and for like I said, for a number of reasons. But I think I got past that.
Very nice. So now here we're back in the big building with a sold out crowd. I mean, as long as you've been doing this, does that change things? I mean, does that packed arena, that extra electricity, does that change like your excitement level or even how you execute on fight night?
Absolutely. I have always fed off the crowd, and I mean, this is gonna be a crowd. Fighting with like no crowd and then fighting with like a little bit of a crowd the second time in Abu Dhabi. And now this one's going to be intense.
Yeah. What does that do for you? I mean, we try to explain it to people, like what it feels like, why it changes. Is it just heighten your awareness, heighten the intensity? What does it do for you actually in the cage?
Well, I mean, when you pull something off or you land something, it's like having, several thousand hype men, like you get that instant feedback, not only just like the tactile feeling of hitting somebody, but then just the audible roar of people's excitement. It's awesome.
Pretty cool. Can you talk about this matchup? I'm curious what you thought when this was the name, right? Maybe a guy that doesn't have the reputation, but certainly a tough, durable guy. So what did you think when this was the name they gave you?
I was excited. Max is a tough opponent, man. He's been on a run. He's really dangerous. And I think, guys like that bring out the best in me.
Yeah. You talked about kind of being all in on fighting. I know you have like the coffee business and you're doing some instructionals and that sort of stuff. And how much does fighting really run your life? Like how much of a role does it play in your life on a daily basis?
Training is my priority. I mean, other than family stuff, but this is my real job. This is my real job. The other stuff is just, it's side gigs or whatever. But I mean, this is what pays the bills.
Very nice. Last thing for me, what are your goals when you step in there? I mean, at this point in your career, I mean, obviously you want to win, of course, but I mean, are there things that you're trying to, benchmarks to prove to yourself or anything like what is your goal when you step in there each time?
In my career right now, I'm just trying to continue to grow as a martial artist. I'm adding layers to my game, which is another reason that I'm like still passionate about this. Like I'm still learning after, I've been, training in mixed martial arts for, over 20 years, and I'm still learning stuff. I'm still continuing to grow. So, I mean, that's, and just being able to get out there and show that, which I plan on doing on Saturday night. That's it, just growth.
Carlos, over here. You had mentioned that Max was a tough opponent and everything. You were gearing up to fight Jake Ellenberger the same month he had made his just professional debut. He was 0-0 when you fought Jake Ellenberger. So when did Max actually get on your radar as a possible opponent?
I guess like maybe a year ago. I don't know. He had called me out. And I wasn't aware, like, I mean, he's a good fighter, but like, he's kind of up and coming. And so it was a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago.
Anything specific that he stands out to you when if you do watch the tape on it, anything specific besides his toughness that stands out to you in terms of his fighting skill?
Yeah. I mean, he's got great hands. He's got, I think that's his bread and butter is his, straight right and his aggressiveness.
And then after your last fight, I believe it was the last on your contract before you had re-signed, Dana was pretty adamant that he wanted to bring you right back. So how quickly after your last fight, what did you re-sign with the UFC?
Yesterday.
Fair enough.
Carlos,
no, I'm not joking.
Carlos, you're left over here. You have a fantastic highlight reel, one of the best in the welterweight division's history. So I'm just curious, do you have a favorite finish of yours?
Like maybe the Dun Young Kim fight. It was pretty, most of my finishes or whatever are pretty, I don't know, stand on my feet or whatever. But that one was a flying knee, so that's huge.
Yeah, definitely a good choice. And just out of all the opponents too that you've fought, is there someone who stands out as the toughest?
The toughest. Like the fight against Thiago Alves, like that guy was just a savage. That was one of the fights where I felt like we were like literally fighting for our lives. I heard him, dropped him, and just that guy's, tenacity to like come. Like he was trying to win to the very, very end.
Best of luck, Carlos. Thank you.
Yep.
Carlos, you just said that yesterday you re-signed.
Yeah.
How unusual is that? And does that put pressure on you leading up, the week of the fight?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how unusual it is. I guess you'd have to ask somebody else. Ask the UFC. I only sign my contracts. They deal with everybody else's. No, I mean we were close. We were close on everything. Yeah. So that's all I got to say about that.
And you mentioned 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking about retirement, or are you fully committed right now?
No, like for this fight, like for this week
in general.
No, well, I mean, I can only speak for this fight, and for this fight, I'm here. Like I'm here to do the thing, and I'm fucking excited, and I'm all in. I get an opportunity to throw down, fucking push my chips to the middle of the table, fucking winner takes all. I love this shit. I'm fucking super stoked. I don't know after Saturday what the fucking rest of my life looks like or what my career looks like, but Saturday night, I'm gonna put my feet on that canvas and we're gonna fucking throw down.
Thank you,
Carlos. One more. Did you watch Thiago's bare knuckle championship fight the other day?
Yeah, I caught highlights of it.
Would you? So now he's the middleweight champion, bare knuckle. What do you make of that?
That's badass, man. Yeah, like I've always liked Thiago, and dude's a warrior. And I mean, I think the other guy that he fought is a savage too, and they put on a show.
Carlos, to your left.
Carlos.
Right here. Was there ever a time that you started taking this for granted, these opportunities where you maybe have entered the octagon and felt like, I don't really want to be here? Because you said 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how that works.
I probably, I'm sure. I mean, I've been doing this since I was young, right? This has been my whole life. And when you have, and I don't know if it's like taking it for granted because I've worked for all of this, right? Like this was me. I got here by, my hard work. I started as an athlete when I was like 5 years old. Like I've answered, more bells and been in more competition than really anybody that I know. I've always been an athlete. So this right here, having the opportunity to come and fight in the octagon, this started when I was like 5 years old. This was, I don't know how many practices, how many matches, how many, whatever, games that I played would like prepare me for this. I've been training for this forever. So in a sense, it's just normal to me. So, being like taking it for granted, I guess in one sense I do, but I also know that I'm incredibly fortunate to be here and, having the opportunity to like make a living doing this and getting to fight, which is literally my dream as a kid. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fighter or be something. And the UFC wasn't even a thing when I was thinking about that.
You've been fighting for a long time, and most fighters, when you reach the age of 30, you start thinking that you're old, but once you get past 35, some things click a little bit different. How much have you changed physically as an athlete when it comes to stepping in the octagon and your approach to training as well as fighting?
Well, there's a lot of different aspects to that question. I definitely train different. Like as far as like maintenance is a huge part of my if I train 2 or 3 hours a day, the rest of my day is tuning up my body and taking care of myself. So it really is a full-time job. I think my fight IQ and my experience has increased quite a bit, especially when I'm able to kind of just be in the moment and be in the flow. I think there were some fights that didn't show up, like the last, and when I was losing those fights, I wasn't fighting really smart, but I was also, like I said, kind of lukewarm about being here. But when I'm in it and I'm fighting to the best of my ability, I'm able to just flow, and my abilities, do what they do.
How has it changed for you? You've learned more, you said, but now with the aging factor, I'm not calling you old, but what have you had to do in order to, as you progressed, to overcome maybe aging, or have you had to change things in your style or in your training in order to get to the peak condition that you want to get to?
Well, I'm definitely more discerning with who I train with and the sparring partners that I bring in. When I was young, it's like we get to fight. If sparring was fighting, and anytime I got a chance to fight, we're like, oh shit, we're gonna fight. Like, first, doors open, we put on our gear and we fight each other. And with people who are coming from all over like when I was with Jackson Wink, there's people from all over the place, and not everybody spars the same. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, if I fight all the time in the gym, that's going to affect my longevity, and I'm going to run into, injuries and, repetitive, punches and all that shit, which is obviously something that, you want to mitigate as you're coming, as you're, working your way through your fight career. So I think that's probably the biggest one, is like really picking my training partners wisely.
Carlos, over here. Brandon Moreno was part of the first group over here. Here. Brandon Moreno was part of the first group of Mexicans that arrived at the gym in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about his development? Do you remember anything about him when he started training there?
Yeah, I do. Like a lot of the guys that came, we used to split the class for like smaller weights and higher weights. And no, but I remember the work that he put in. And just definitely, he was a standout amongst that group.
Thank you.
Carlos, over here on your left, right over this way. Your previous opponent, Matt Brown, just scored a highlight reel knockout in his last fight. I was wondering what your thoughts were on his performance.
Obviously, a great performance. I mean, Lima's a tough guy, and seeing Matt go out there and get it taken care of, I was happy for him.
And what does it mean to you to be fighting in the featured prelim bout of obviously a huge card with tons of fans around the world tuning in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason when they put me on the card. There's a reason they put me in that spot. I've had a few good fights in my UFC career, so I think they have confidence that I'm going to go put on a show, and that's what I plan to do.
You had an impressive performance on Submission Underground recently against Jake Ellenberger. Do you plan on implementing your jiu-jitsu skills on Max Griffin?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of depth to my game. I have a lot of different ways to win, and whether it's standing or on the ground, I'm looking to finish one way or another. I'm looking to finish. So I've been working a lot on my jiu-jitsu, but also my striking is my bread and butter. So we'll see.
And last question from me. I just want to get your thoughts and prediction on the main event for Saturday night.
I mean, obviously, as a fan, I'm excited. They're two incredible mixed martial artists. Really kind of at the pinnacle of their careers. In a trilogy. It's just, what is this, the rubber match? Yeah, and I mean, hell of a fight, really. And I'm a big fan of both the fighters. So,
Thanks, Carlos.
Yep. Thanks, guys.